What's up, everybody? This is Big SARS back with another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Uniform Code of Military Justice, in case you have no idea what this is. So let's get into it. If you're thinking about joining the military or you already wear the uniform, then you probably heard people talk about UCMJ, usually within the same breath as phrases like Article 15, court martial, or just simply don't mess around. But what exactly is it, and why does it seem to carry so much weight in military life? Well, let me go ahead and explain exactly what the Uniform Code of Military Justice is, which is basically the military's legal backbone. So let's go. All right, so exactly what is UCMJ? So at its core, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, this is the law of the land for the U.S. Armed Forces. So think of it like this. Civilians, they follow state and federal laws. Soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, guardians, and coasties, they follow these laws in addition to UCMJ. Now, UCMJ is a federal law that was enacted by Congress in 1950 that lays out all the rules, responsibilities, rights, and punishments specific to military life. It covers everything from serious crimes like murder or desertion to military-specific offenses like being AWOL, disobeying orders, or disrespecting a superior. So in short, the UCMJ, this is the legal system that keeps the military disciplined, fair, and mission ready. Why do we even need a separate legal code for the military? Well, that's a great question. So here's the thing. The military is a different world. Civilian laws don't always cover the unique demands of military life. So think about it. If a civilian doesn't show up to work for 2 weeks, they might get fired. If a soldier goes missing for 2 weeks without permission, that's considered AWOL, and under UCMJ, that is a crime. And the military, they cannot afford chaos. Orders have to be followed. Discipline has to be enforced because lives literally depend upon it. And that's why UCMJ exists. It exists to handle situations that civilian courts just weren't designed for. All right, next. So who does UCMJ apply to? Well, here's the kicker. UCMJ applies to a lot more people than you might think. It covers active duty service members, Guard and Reserve members when they're activated, service academy cadets and midshipmen, retirees in certain cases, prisoners of war that are held by U.S. forces, and civilians who are serving with or accompanying the military in combat zones. So yeah, it's a pretty wide net. If you're under the military umbrella in any way, there's a good chance that UCMJ applies to you. All right, so exactly how is UCMJ structured? Well, UCMJ is broken down into articles, and there's a total of 146 of them. Some are procedural, like how court martials should be run, and others are punitive, where they're defining crimes and punishments. And a few of the most commonly talked about articles include the following. So you have the infamous Article 15. And this is a non-judicial punishment. It's basically discipline that is handled by a commander without a formal court martial. You have what's called Article 86, and that is absent without leave or AWOL. They have Article 92, that is failure to obey an order or regulation. You have Article 120, that deals with sexual misconduct offenses. And then you have Article 134, and that is called the general article. And basically, it's a catch-all for conduct that's prejudice to good order and discipline. So think of it like the military's version of don't be stupid. All right, so let's talk about the types of military justice that fall up under UCMJ. So not every infraction is treated the same. UCMJ provides a range of responses depending upon the severity of the misconduct. You have what is called a non-judicial punishment, or an Article 15. So think of it like the military's version of getting written up, only it comes with real consequences. A commander, they can issue punishment without sending the case to trial, and punishments might include extra duty, pay forfeiture, reduction in rank, or restriction to base. But soldiers, they can refuse an Article 15 and demand a court martial. However, that is a gamble. You have what is called a summary court martial, and this is the lowest level court martial for minor offenses, and basically one officer presides. The punishments are limited and the process is rather quick. You have what is called a special court martial, and this is like a misdemeanor trial, and it has a military judge and at least 3 members who are the jury. And the punishments, they can be more severe, like getting confined for up to a year, forfeiture of pay, or a bad conduct discharge. And then you have what is called a general court martial, and this is the big one. This is equivalent to a felony trial. And this is used for the most serious offenses like murder, desertion, or sexual assault. And this can impose the harshest punishments like getting life in prison, a dishonorable discharge, or even death in rare cases. Now, here's something that a lot of people don't realize. Service members, they still have rights under UCMJ. They are guaranteed the right to remain silent, like the civilian Miranda rights. They have the right to an attorney, like military lawyers, which are called JAG or Judge Advocate Generals. They have the right to a fair trial. They have protection against double jeopardy, meaning they can't be tried twice for the same offense. And they have the ability to appeal convictions to higher military courts. So while UCMJ enforces strict discipline, it also ensures fairness. So how does UCMJ affect everyday military life? Well, this is where it gets real. UCMJ isn't just about big crimes. It shapes daily life in the military. And some examples are you showing up late to formation repeatedly. Well, you can face an Article 15. You go out there and you disrespect an NCO. Well, that's an Article 91. You get caught underage drinking in the barracks. Well, guess what? That's a UCMJ violation. You go out there and cheat on your spouse. Well, adultery is punishable up under Article 134. So things that might be personal choices in civilian life, they can have career-ending consequences in the military. All right, so why do service members take UCMJ seriously? Well, if you're in uniform, UCMJ is not optional, and violating it can mean you can lose your rank, you can lose your pay, your career could be derailed, you can get a dishonorable or a bad conduct discharge, and you could even face some jail time. Now, here's the thing. Once you have a negative discharge on your record, that follows you for life. Employers, schools, and even benefits like the GI Bill will be affected. All right, next, let's talk about some common misconceptions about UCMJ. So one misconception is UCMJ only applies during war, and that is not true. It is in effect at all time. Another misconception is if it's not illegal for civilians, then you can do it. That is also not true. And lots of things like disobeying orders are crimes under UCMJ, even if they're not in the civilian world. And another misconception is commanders can punish however they want. That is false. UCMJ has strict limits and processes to protect service members' rights. All right, so let's talk about UCMJ in modern times. So UCMJ, once again, it was enacted in 1950. However, it is not frozen in the year 1950. It has been updated several times to reflect modern standards, especially around sexual assault and harassment laws, cybersecurity offenses, and equal rights protections. So essentially, the military justice system, it evolves with society while still maintaining the discipline that is needed for combat readiness. Now, why should civilians even care about UCMJ? Well, even if you're not in the military, UCMJ matters because it shows how the U.S. balances individual rights with national security. It ensures that the military operates under the rule of law and not arbitrary power. And it also gives insight into the unique pressures of military life. Now, let me go ahead and wrap all this up. At the end of the day, the Uniform Code of Military Justice is what keeps the U.S. Armed Forces disciplined, professional, and accountable. It's not perfect and it's not always easy, but it is essential. So if you're planning on serving, remember, you want to learn the basics of UCMJ. You want to respect it. You want to understand that it's there to protect both the military and you, because at the end of the day, UCMJ isn't just about punishment. It's about maintaining trust, order, and integrity in an organization where those things can literally mean life or death.